Yo, what is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, in the 863 tribe? It is your boy POLK, a.k.a. A-Lo, a.k.a. the goddamn truth. And man, what a week it's been for me. What a week it's been for me, man. Uh, I had some pretty solid things planned for this week in terms of the channel, and life punched me in the nuts. So wasn't able to do the show yesterday. We were gonna have some guests on here today to talk some Clemson, Florida State, and that won't be happening. But I'm gonna try to get that going on Friday. But you are on episode 91 of the Hangover, and I am hungover this week. I am over this week, and the only thing that can salvage this week is going to be a victory Saturday. And we're going to talk about it. So you're going to get you're going to get yesterday's show today, and you might get today's show tomorrow. So we ain't going to let a hot water heater ruin our mood. Go ahead, man. Hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, get in that comment section, as you know, so we can do this roll call. But man, we're gonna preview Clemson. We're gonna preview Clemson, Florida State. And I'm gonna give my opinions on this game, because this game, we tend to do this. Yeah, I've done this a couple times, where it's almost like every big game is Mike Norvell's most important game, you know. And up until this point, I believe the most important game Mike Norvell has coached in was last year's LSU game. I believe that is the most important game he has had as his tenure as the FSU head coach. But I may explain to you today why I think this game may just mean slightly more. May just mean slightly more. But before we do all that, man, again, get in the comment section. Share the video, man. Let everybody know we are live. We are live. I know this was like y'all didn't know what time we were going live because of yesterday, and I didn't have time to really change much. So we are live. So share the video. Let people know we are live over here on 863 Seminole TV, the most interactive Florida State YouTube channel on the internet. Get in that comment section so we can get this roll call going real quick. And then we're going to dive in. We're going to dive into FSU, Florida State. We're going to preview the game, look at some key players, but then we're going to talk about what this game means for Florida State and Clemson. But let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I got 226 Tim in the building. Jeff's in the building. Peter Shields, member 863 Tribe. Joel Howard. Sorry. Jeff's also member 863 Tribe. Joel Howard. Pretty No Girl. Mr. Julian Tyler Hedden, member 863 Tribe. Melly Mel. Raj Foster. Anthony Cheers, Brandy Franklin, Damian Adams, Ben Callahan, The Land 216. Let's get it, Mon, all in the building. As you continue to cycle in, hit that comment section, and I will make sure to give you a shout out like my man Big Kev, who just entered the chat. What's good with you, homie? Where do we start? Where do y'all want to start? Do y'all want to start? Let's start with let's preview the game. That's where I want to start at. Let's just run down the game real quick, man. Let's go Florida State versus Clemson by the numbers. Florida State versus Clemson by the numbers. Clemson comes into this game 2-1, already 0-1 in ACC play. It's a big deal. We're going to cover that later, but that's a big deal. Keep that in the back of your mind. Clemson is already 0-1 in ACC play. Jen Fari in the building was good. They are averaging 40 points per game, 489 yards per game. They are only giving up about 20 points per game, 246 yards per game, 6 turnovers. They've had 6 turnovers on the year, 10 penalties, 90 penalty yards. That's your Clemson Tigers. Blackshear Knoll in the building. Florida State, the tail of the tape. They come into this matchup averaging 47 points per game, 462 yards of offense per game, giving up 22 points a game, giving up 391 yards per game. I think that deserves a little bit of an asterisk, if you ask me, and I'll tell you why. They've only turned the ball over 3 times this year. However, they have 15 penalties and over 150 penalty yards. What does all of that mean? Florida State has Boston College. Y'all remember how we felt after Boston College. Boston College game doesn't help the yards per game. However, when you look at LSU game, remember those guys hit like a late 80-yard touchdown pass that kind of skewed Jaden Daniels' numbers and skewed those numbers overall. And by the way, game not only was the game out of hand and won at that point, you also had walk-ons on. We literally were playing walk-ons against LSU at the end of that game. You could almost say the same thing against Southern Miss. In the second half of that game, you're playing a bunch of walk-ons. The only place where you don't get that excuse is Boston College, where that quarterback ate you up for 400 yards. That's a bad look. However, the other 2 previous games don't tell the whole story of those numbers. Solid defensive performances in those first 2 games. The Boston College game did not look well. The tail of the tape, you can't really take a lot from the tail of the tape because FSU's 3-0, obviously 1-0 in conference play. I mean, two of the 3 Clemson opponents have. I mean, Clemson opens up with Duke. Who would have knew? Duke's actually a good football team, or seems to be a good football team this year. But they opened up with Duke. I don't know who they play. Charleston Southern in the second game, and then FAU in the third game. I don't know what you can really take from Clemson's resume. Well, Florida State has opened up with 2 Power 5 opponents, and then Southern Miss, who's actually a quality Group of 5 opponent. As of course, LSU ranked 5 at that time. Southern Miss and Boston College. Who, look, we're not going to pretend like Boston College is a good football team, but they came out to play last week in their red bandana game. Clemson's statistical leaders through the first 3 games. I got, I think I already shouted out Blackshear, Ben Callahan, Grill Master in the building. What's going on, guys? Hit the like button, share the video. We are live on the Thursday evening, man, as we count down Florida State versus Clemson. Klubnik, 693 yards, 66% completion percentage, 8 TDs, 2 interceptions. We're just going to go over the tail of the tape, and then we're going to get into the discussion. Shipley, 36 carries on the year, 225 yards, no rushing touchdowns. He is averaging just over 6 yards a pop. Phil Maffa has become more of a, I don't want to say a focal point of this offense, but definitely he's getting more opportunities, it seems, as he has 25 carries, 166 yards, averaging 6.6 yards a carry, and has 3 rushing touchdowns. Tells me they're using Maffa probably in some goal line situations. He has 3 TDs while Shipley has 0 TDs on the ground. You go to the wide receiver room, which is the room that, you know, a lot of people feel like Clemson has fallen off a cliff when you start talking about those wide receivers because, you know, we remember Clemson having Newt Hopkins and Sammy Watkins and Martavius Bryant. We remember Clemson almost being wide receiver U at one point. Their leading receiver is Collins. He's got 13 catches, 197 yards. He's averaging 15 yards a catch and a touchdown. Williams is 15 receptions, 145 yards, 9 yards per catch, 2 TDs. Brown, 7 catches, 79 yards, 11 yards per catch, also 2 TDs. And then Shipley, who we know Shipley does a little bit of it all. Shipley is the offense in Clemson, South Carolina. 11 catches, 58 yards, 5 yards a catch, but he does have a touchdown in that. Montre's in the building. Todd Polk's in the building. Defensively, this is the unit that everybody says is really good. I tend to agree. I do think they are a talented defense. I think there's a little bit of overrated stuff on their defense, mainly at the linebacking core. I know that might sound crazy to some of you because they're considered to have the 2 best linebackers in the conference. I think Carter is a good one. I think Trotter's a little overrated, but that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. Trotter has 8 solo tackles and 17 total tackles. Carter has 10 solo tackles and 15 total tackles. You have another linebacker. I don't know if this guy's linebacker or a safety, but Wood is. I think they have him listed as a linebacker. He has 2 interceptions and 9 tackles. Their sack leader is Parker with 8 total tackles and 1 sack. Nate Wiggins has 4 total tackles, a sack, and an INT. Xavier Thomas has 4 total tackles and a sack. It's interesting because as a team, Clemson does not have a bunch of sacks. They only have 4 sacks on the year, and that's, again, playing Charleston Southern and FAU, and then 4 interceptions on the year. That is the tail of the tape of Clemson. That is the tail of the tape. PSTU. Man, if I'm butchering that one, my apologies, but that looks like PSTU. I don't know, but he says, let's go, Polk. Hope there was not a lot of damage. Actually, I'd say minimal damage, which is great. Luckily, my heater's in my garage, so there wasn't a lot of damage there. Just the fact that I'm out of over $1,000 on replacing a hot water heater sucks. But other than that, man, I'm good. Thanks for asking. We are good over here. I appreciate you, though. Let's get to FSU's tail of the tape, man, and then let's actually get into the discussion here. Let's see who's winning the battle on paper. Florida State, Jordan Travis, 739 yards, 63% completion percentage. Should be better, can be better. 8 TDs, 1 interception. Trey Benson has 33 carries on the year, 164 yards, 5 yards a carry, and 4 touchdowns. Rodney Hill has 15 carries, 102 yards, and 6.8 yards per carry. Jordan Travis also brings in 96 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Toll Philly has 85 yards at 5 yards per carry. Johnny Wilson leads the team in receiving with only 11 catches, but 209 yards, 19 yards a catch. No touchdowns yet for Johnny. That goes to Keon Coleman, who only has 12 catches on the year, but 170 yards and 14 yards a catch, and he has 4 TDs. And then Jaheim Bell with seven catches, 125 yards, 18 yards a catch from Bell, and 2 touchdowns. FSU's got weapons galore, but we knew that. Island Boys in the building. What's going on with you? Defensively, man, Tatum Bethune with 9 solo tackles, 17 total tackles, and a pass defense. Deloach has only 6 solos, 10 totals, but he has 2.5 sacks. Shout out to Kalen Deloach. Jerry and Jones leads your DBs with 8 solo tackles, 9 total tackles, and a pick 6. Lundy has 4 solos, 9 total, a sack and a half, and also adds an interception there. It's not Jerry. I already said Jerry. And Ronaldo Green has 9 total tackles, 7 solos, a half a sack himself, and an interception. And then you go to that D line. Joshua Farmer, 4 tackles, 4 solos, 8 total, 1 sack. Briggs, 3 solos, 8 totals, 2 sacks. Pat Payton, Jared Verse, disappointments this year, which I understand. Pat Payton has 6 total tackles, but no sacks. Does have a pass defense for knocking the ball out there. Jared Verse has 3 solos, 6 totals, and no sacks. And then Fisk. Fisk is the one guy who a lot of his stuff may not show up in the stat sheet, but Fisk does have 1 solo tackle, 6 total tackles, but no sacks. Altogether, FSU's defense comes in this game with 3 interceptions and 8 sacks. So it's interesting. While you aren't getting a lot of sack production from your ends, I mean, FSU has 8 total sacks on the year, so they are getting some sack production. Let's talk about the tail of the tape, man. We're just going to strictly stick to FSU, Clemson, what the numbers say. Here's the deal, man. You look at 2 teams on paper, you gotta think they seem to be relatively even. I think the numbers are skewed in a certain way only because of Clemson's opponents. And then Florida State, the first 2 weeks were really blowing teams out. They were able to play a lot of bodies the first 2 weeks. Not so much last week, but a lot of bodies the first 2 weeks. It kind of just goes back to kind of the way I've always felt. If you stop Will Shipley, you probably stop this Clemson offense. I don't think Klubnik has not shown, in my opinion, as of right now. That doesn't mean he can't turn into, won't become. Klubnik has not shown me that I'm going to put the game on his shoulders and he's going to throw you to a victory. I haven't seen it from him. And against a team that should be able to generate some sort of pass rush, whether it's up the middle or with your edge guys, maybe we blitz more this game. What's up, Raymond? Maybe we blitz a little more, as that seemed to work towards the end of the Boston College game. It's kind of interesting that we took a while to actually bring some blitzes, but that's part of the Adam Fuller experience. On paper, man, and just what you watch on the TV, I think Florida State definitely looks like the better team. But this kind of leads into the first topic I want to get into, and then that is perception versus reality. What's up, Jamal M? What I mean by perception versus reality. Here's the reality. Then I'll get into the perception. And in some cases, perception is reality. That's the unfortunate part about it. Here's the reality. The reality is Florida State and Clemson, while a big deal, FSU can lose this game and still accomplish almost everything they want to accomplish this year. Barring, there's going to be some other things along the season that's going to dictate that. Duke continuing to win. Miami continues to win. I don't put much stock in the Florida-Tennessee game. We'll see what Florida turns into. But for me, I don't put much stock in that game. Because I don't think Tennessee's a good football team, but that's just me. The reality is FSU can still go on to have a great season losing to Clemson. That is the facts. That is the truth. The perception is Florida State better win this game. The perception is Florida State cannot afford to lose this game. You have not beaten Clemson since 2014? Going on almost a decade, right? Is it 2014 or 15? You haven't beaten Clemson in a long time regardless. Haven't beat Clemson in a long time. Recruits see that. The national perception is still going to be it's Clemson's conference until it isn't. FSU yields a team that when's the last time we had a team this good on paper from what you've seen on the TV? When's the last time you've seen a Florida State team in this mold? It's been a really long time. Clemson yields a team that they have not looked as vulnerable as they've looked in a long time this year. Not only losing to Duke by 21, you're at halftime, you're only up 3 on Charleston Southern. I didn't watch the FAU game, so I'd be off if I gave you any kind of analysis on the FAU game. But the 2 games I watched from Clemson, well, I didn't get to watch the first game either because I was on the airplane. But I did see the final score of that game. Point is, what we've seen from Clemson, they have not been as vulnerable in 10 years, in a decade, than they've been more right here, right now. Florida State has not had a team this good in a decade than they have right now. If you can't get the job done this year, the perception becomes the reality. And the perception's going to be, can Mike Norvell beat teams with the pulse? Whether it's the reality or not, listen to me again. I'm not criticizing Mike, nor am I saying he can't beat good teams. But the perception becomes the reality. Now, if you go to the numbers, you guys can help me out in the chat. Antoine, I see you. Irv Gotti's in the building. I see you. What is Mike Norvell's record against ranked teams? And Clemson's not even ranked. But anybody you ask would tell you that Clemson's a quality opponent, regardless of if they're ranked this year or not. Mike Norvell's record against ranked teams. Well, let's see. Year 1, he beat a top 5 North Carolina team. That would make him 1-0. Year 2, didn't beat a ranked team. Last year, did you beat a ranked team last year? Am I missing a team? No. Matter of fact, you went 0-3 last year against ranked teams. I believe in year 2, let me reverse that. In year 2, was Notre Dame not ranked game 1? I could be wrong. So at that point, you're 1-4 against ranked teams going into this year, and then you beat LSU, which would make you 2-4. Actually, I think Notre Dame was ranked in 2020 as well. So I think you're actually 2-5. Mike Norvell's 2-5. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. The man's 2-5. That I know I'm gonna get in the comments. All of the rebuilding, all of the he took over a shitty situation. I get that. I don't disagree with that. Perception versus reality. No one cares unless you're wearing garnet or gold, unless your man cave looks something similar to mine, and you're wearing this logo on your vehicle. No one cares outside of FSU fandom what the circumstances are. Perception and reality start to merge. And the perception is he can't beat good football teams. We know what he did against LSU. Got it. The record's going to say otherwise. The perception is this game matters that much, in my opinion. I think, and again, I know you can say this about any game, or we've said this about other games. But again, up until this weekend, I believe the most important game in Mike Norvell's tenure was last year's LSU game. I think that changes this Saturday. This game matters that much, and this shouldn't be anything new to anybody who watches me regular. I circled this game the moment the clock hit 0 on last season. I told y'all what this season was, what it meant, and what the focus should have been or should be. You conquer the demon, the giant. I know I'm hyping up Clemson a little bit, but we're going to call a spade a spade. We're going to call them for what they are. And since 2013, the last time Florida State, I won't say that's the last time Florida State is any good, right? But since 2013, 2014, Clemson's completely washed the conference. They've won 2 natties and pretty much have won the ACC every year, with the exception of what? The Pitt year? the Pitt year and I think the year Notre Dame won it in the COVID year, which I'm not even going to count that crap. But the year Pitt won, it's been all Clemson. It's been the all Clemson conference. Let's just call it for what it is. It's time to conquer. It's time to climb. What's our motto? Climb. It's time to climb that mountain. Now that mountain ain't such more. This year, that mountain isn't as big as a mountain as it's been in years past. Would you even call it a mountain? It's more of a hill, maybe. I don't know. But that just goes to my greater point. If not now, then when? If you're not going to do it this year, well, I don't know when you're going to do it. Perception versus reality, guys. I think the perception is, can he win sort of the big game? The reality is he's overcome a lot to get to this point. Again, I'm not dismissing everything that it's taken to get here. I'm just telling you that nobody outside of this fandom gives a damn. That includes recruits. Us as adults, we sit back and we rationalize everything that happened leading up to this season and tell you, COVID year don't count. It's a year zero. And again, I don't necessarily disagree with all those takes. What I am saying is the kids don't care. The recruits don't care. The national media don't give a damn. Nobody outside of Florida State, outside of Tallahassee cares. It's time to put that perception to rest and give some reality. Let's check the reality here and make it a real deal. That's that's where I want to start off with, is the perception versus the reality. And that's why I think this game is so big, and why this game is so big for Mike Norvell, because that just leads me into the next point is, in my opinion, this is the biggest game so far in his career. And I know, again, you can say, oh, you said that about, but again, I didn't look at LSU this year as that mountain. I was like, we already climbed that mountain. You can lose to LSU. If you still do everything you're supposed to do in the ACC, you'll be fine. I stand on that. We beat LSU, showed out against LSU in the second half. It's in the rearview mirror. But now you're in a situation, I don't know, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I can't think of a game in Mike Norvell's career here at Florida State so far where he's been like the overwhelming favorite against a quality opponent. Can you think of a game where we've been the overwhelming favorite against a quality opponent? Say what you want about Clemson this year. I think we're only like a 2-point favorite on the road at Clemson. So it tells you what people think. It tells you what people think of Clemson. Or maybe it tells you what they don't think of Florida State. I don't know. But the expectation is you have the better team top to bottom. Yes, it's on the road, but it ain't a primetime game. It's a noon game. You're on the road in a noon in Clemson, but you're wielding a better secondary, allegedly, a better receiving core. Maybe you're equal at the running game, though Trey Benson's no Will Shipley. Better quarterback play, better O-line play. Maybe you're even on the D-lines. Maybe Clemson has a slight edge there. Same thing I did with LSU, where if you go position by position, I tell you Florida State should have the edge at most of these positions. It's time to take that step, man. I can't stress enough how much I need and want this game. And I really – because, look, if he loses this game, those same narratives are going to spin back up. They're going to go, well, dang, you can't – can you beat a good team? Granted, LSU, you beat them this year. And now they've gone on to look pretty damn good since the loss. I think they've scored like a gazillion points. They blew Mississippi State out last. That's an SEC quality opponent. And they blew them boys out the water last week. So LSU showing you that they actually are a good football team. Matter of fact, I think Malik Neighbors went for 200 yards last week. That's telling you something, that we were able to hold that guy. So LSU's a great, great trophy on the wall, man. But until you can climb the Clemson mountain, it tends to not matter. I think Mike Norvell, and again, it's not me like pointing a finger. I'm just saying this is a game. This is the next game. For lack of a better term, to let your nuts hang. This is the next game to, like, I talked so much after the LSU game. His demeanor on the sidelines of that game was something I had not seen from him before. The way he just looked like a stone cold murderer on the sideline against LSU. Like, he wanted to. If Mike Norvell could have, I think Mike Norvell would have tried to go for 80 on LSU. Like, that's the way he carried himself. It's time to see that. And this ain't nothing personal with Clemson, other than, like Irv Gotti says here with the $5 donos. I appreciate that. It's time to restore the order. Congratulations, Clemson. You did a great job holding down the ACC while we was in-house. We had to get in-house right. But now it's time to restore the proper order in the ACC. And now Mike Norvell is the head of that movement. Am I confident in him? I actually am. I think Mike Norvell has continued to grow year in and year out as a head football coach. And you see it on the field. I don't want to come here Saturday after the game and say we lost another one. And say I don't want to do that. But appreciate Irv with the $5 donation.
Clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
So there's a lot of narrative points around this game. I mean, if you can't tell, this game is, but again, if you've been listening to me, this game has been important from Jump Street. I called this season all about that orange team in South Carolina. Like, I've been preaching this. So this is nothing new for me. I don't care what Clemson's record is. I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. I don't care what Clemson's record is. This Clemson game Saturday is going to be the game that everybody thought the LSU game was going to be. The war that y'all thought the LSU game was going to be, that I initially thought it was going to be, and then remember 24 hours before that game, I just had a feeling. I was like, man, we can blow these boys out. That ain't the case here. I don't believe. The game y'all thought LSU was going to be, that back and forth, toe-to-toe heavyweight match, that's what this game's going to be. Clemson is wounded. Clemson is fighting for their life, theoretically. Again, they are already behind the curve, behind the 8 ball in conference play. You can make a great argument. Clemson cannot afford to go down 0-2 in the ACC. They cannot, if they have any hopes of at least still winning the ACC and running the table and making a playoff, they cannot afford an 0-2 start. First of all, a second loss completely kills any playoffs hopes for them. But even in the ACC, you really put them in a bind. Then they can't afford to lose they can't afford to lose this game, arguably. But to go down 0-2, you almost all but eliminate your biggest threat to the ACC in Clemson. They are going to come out. They're going that Boston College team you saw last week that played hard. Clemson's going to come out like that, except guess what? They're more talented and better coached. You better be able to match that intensity. You better be able to stand in there, take a body shot, and be able to give one back, because that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. I wholeheartedly believe the game everybody thought we were going to see week 1 in Orlando, obviously you didn't see that. You're going to see that game in Clemson, South Carolina. That's the game you're going to see. And I'm very interested and excited to see how we match that intensity. I expect us to get up for that game, but that's the game. I wholeheartedly believe that is the game you're going to experience this Saturday. Clemson is not going to go down without a fight because their season depends on it. If FSU loses this game, no, you're not out of it. But you've bred new life back into Clemson. Now y'all are on an even playing field as both of us 1-1 in ACC play, and now they have a tiebreaker with you. And you can't forget the Louisvilles who don't play either one of you. You can't forget North Carolina. Miami might be a competent football team this year. You can't forget maybe the ACC Duke, who's already got an edge up on Clemson, and you play Duke as well. The ACC might be a little bit more top-heavy than we were expecting. We thought it was just us and Clemson. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not just us and Clemson now. You have to eliminate one of your top competitors because not only do you eliminate Clemson now, you probably don't see them in the ACC title game if you hand them a second loss. And I don't know if Clemson's a team that you want to see twice. I just don't know. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. So I lost track of what I was saying. But the point is, this Clemson team is going to come to battle. And I really believe this Clemson team is going to come ready to, again, put it all on the line. They're not going to go down without a fight. If you don't know anything about Dabo Swinney, he don't like losing to us. He prides himself on beating us. So we got to respond, man. We got to respond. I think we will. Again, I don't have us. When I originally did my season projections, I had us as an 11-1 in the regular season. And it was I had us losing this game. But I also anticipated this game being maybe prime time, Clemson being undefeated, both teams being in the top 10. Did not see Clemson losing 21 to Duke. Did not see Clemson struggling with Charleston Southern in the first half. I didn't see all of these things when I originally had us losing this game. I can no longer think or stick to that prediction of us losing this game. We might still go 11-1 in the regular season. I don't know. But it ain't going to be – it can't be this game. It can't be this game. Because, again, this isn't the Clemson team that I thought coming into the season. Coming into the season, thought LSU was a little overrated and Clemson was a little underrated. LSU actually seems to be maybe as good as advertised. Clemson is actually the one that is maybe was overrated to start the season with. So if all of those things ring true, no excuse for Florida State coming into this Saturday. Time to handle business. It's definitely time to handle business. I'm just reading the comments. But, yeah, it's time to get the job done. Because, again, somebody point to me a Clemson team that's looked like this. You can't. Raymond says Smith and Scott should play since we have a bye week. I do expect Smith. I think Mike Norvell said as much that they're on track to play, which would definitely be good because we're gonna need bodies against what is still a formidable defensive line there. Don't sleep on the D line. I'm not so sold on the rest of that Clemson defense, especially in the back end. But that D-line is still that D-line, in my opinion. So having Robert Scott and Maurice back is a big deal. Dupree thinks AZ should start over Cypress. I don't necessarily disagree. We're going to get to some of that stuff here in a second, as we're going to talk about some of these strengths and weaknesses again. And I'm no Clemson fan, so maybe it's harder for me to speak on the strengths and weaknesses of Clemson per se. But I'm going to talk about this from the Florida State standpoint and what we need to avoid and what we probably need to do. There's that. I agree. It's been a long time since Clemson's looked like this. They haven't really looked like this in a long time. And that's the thing, right? When Florida State finally started showing chinks in the armor, Clemson took advantage of that and took off to the moon. I need us to return the favor. Start seeing chinks in the armor. Let's take advantage of that and shoot to the moon. Randy says we need not leave people open. We need not to allow 20-plus yards, third and long. We need to stop them, get off the field. Antoine says LSU will prove to be one of the better wins in the country. They won't lose another game the regular season unless it's Bama, and Bama gets their QB situation together. You're probably right. First of all, I think it's a down year all the way around for the SEC period. Tennessee, again, never thought they were a good team. Georgia definitely doesn't seem like the juggernaut they've been the past 2 years. That doesn't mean they're not a good team. They just don't seem like that juggernaut. Bama, we've already saw that. Man, they went like scoreless and a half against USF of all schools. And then we already know they lost to Texas. Yeah, Auburn with Hugh Freeze is still building that. If I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm ecstatic the way the SEC is looking because I have a chance to compete immediately. Missouri might be a solid team, but SEC as a whole seems down. So you're not wrong there. I don't think you're wrong there. You would not shock me if LSU ran the table the rest of the year. Wouldn't shock me. Ben Callahan says honest assessment of number 7. I think he's talking about Jarian. First of all, I'm not biased against Jarian Jones. I only call it how I see it. Jarian Jones has played very well at that nickel spot. He's benefited tremendously playing that spot. So he's played well, obviously. I think he was at one point. I don't know if he still is. As of last week, if I'm not mistaken, he's the highest graded corner in the country playing that nickel spot. So he's playing good football, man. Pick 6, he's playing good football. Just keep him there, and then we shouldn't have any issues. Keep him in that nickel spot, and we shouldn't have any issues. I think having Dent back is a big deal. And I agree with this. Dent might not be All-American, but he knows where to be. And if you go watch number 3 last week, just the safeties in general, bro. I'm not even going to just pick on number 3. But my preseason worries are coming to fruition on that back half and that secondary, the back end of that secondary. Those safeties aren't playing good at all. And that's all of them. I don't care who you name. If you tell me, I want to see more of Barker out there, okay. He's played some. Go watch it. Safeties as a whole they haven't played well. That includes Shaheem, all of them. Safety as a whole, they haven't played well. Randy says, I'm going to answer this real quick. And I actually talked about this a little bit last week on my instant reaction of why I was so disappointed in that FSU Boston College game. Because despite the fact that Texas and Wyoming went 3.5 quarters or whatever it was, toe-to-toe, what's the final score of Texas versus Wyoming? That answers your question, Randy. That answers your question. He just answered the question too. I don't know about that second part where the game was on the Longhorn Network, blase. But at the end of the day, the final score Say what you want about Texas versus Wyoming. 31-10 or whatever it was the final score. That's why. That's why. And Florida State won by 2 points against a team that almost lost to something called Holy Cross. I mean, that's why. Florida State fans, don't worry about the rankings. I say this every year, and we do this every year. The rankings don't matter. Win football games, and you'll be ranked where you need to be ranked. The rankings don't matter if you lose to Boston College last week. Don't do they? Rankings don't matter. None of it matters. As long as you're in the top 4 when it's all said and done, everything else is irrelevant. Florida State, man. What do we need to do and avoid to win this game? Let's get into that part. Then I'll give my score predictions. I hope they listened to me when I was ranting last week about what we didn't do against Boston College. I'm hoping to see. I don't know how many of you watched the Colorado State game. And no, I'm not going to talk about what y'all think I'm going to talk about. I'm actually going to talk about actual football. And the reason I bring up that game, Colorado State had some damn good receivers, but they couldn't quite get them the ball vertically. Do you know what Colorado State ran for 4 quarters of that football game? Man, they did shallow crosses to death against Colorado. They flat out was just running a shallow cross every play. Anytime they wanted to get a receiver the ball, you know what they do? And he'd be wide open. They dump him the ball, and he'd run for 15 yards. What did I say watching that Boston College game? So why are we going vertical and not hitting anything underneath? They drag, there you go, Black. They hit the drag route all damn game. Why can't we implement some of that shit into our play calling? You want to get Keon Coleman? Everybody had a big issue or tried to make a big deal of Keon Coleman. He tweeted some stuff that some people interpreted it saying like he only got 3 targets or whatever against Boston College. He tweeted 3 footballs. And some people were, maybe he was insinuating he's unhappy with his targets. Damn it, if you can call a drag route for Keon, get him the ball and let him do some things in space. Get our guys in a rhythm. If you're going to pass the ball 40 times, like if we're going to do that, that's fine. I mean, I'm not with it, but Trey Benson ain't exactly running the ball effectively. So that's fine. I get that. The running backs aren't really seeing the field that well to start the season. If you're going to throw the ball, every shot to Keon Coleman doesn't need to be fade, doesn't need to be a go. How about curl routes, hitch routes, quick slants, drag route, not bullshit wide receiver screen. See that crap? I hate that. Let them actually get the ball in the middle of the field in space. You know those LSU DBs are going to respect Johnny. They're going to respect Keon. So they're not going to be pressing those big bodies. They'd be stupid to. They're not going to man up Keon Coleman and Johnny Will. They might man them up, but they're not going to play press man. They're going to give them a cushion. Let them get the ball early. I say this all the time, or I said it last week. Keon Coleman's first catch as a Seminole is a bang 9. He makes the first guy miss, and he's off to the races. They ain't thrown him that play since. They ain't gave him that type of opportunity since. Everything don't have to be a jump ball, a go route. Let's work some drags in there, man. Let's get some quick stuff. Let's get Keon Coleman in a rhythm. Let's get our slot guys. Can we get those guys involved in the passing game? I would love to see Winston Wright catch some balls. How about they talked about all offseason how explosive Dustin Hill looks. Can we get him the ball? If we're going to pass the ball, let's work the underneath routes, and then the home runs are going to be there. The home runs are going to be there. So that's what offensively, man, however you decide to approach this game, if you want to come out passing, Jordan Travis needs to understand every time you see Keon Coleman in a one-on-one on the outside, doesn't mean you check into a go route. It doesn't mean that. Also, Jordan Travis, run the ball. I don't know if we're going to call any design runs. They kind of stray away from any design runs with Travis. But Duke gave you the blueprint. That Riley Leonard kid ran for 100 or 98 yards. I don't know if he's a better runner than Travis. Maybe he is. I don't know. I've seen Jordan Travis do some crazy things with his legs. Do not be afraid to run Jordan Travis. I know he got a little banged up last week. I hope they've been emphasizing, Jordan, get down, slide. Don't put your head, don't take on the linebacker like you're Tim Tebow. You're not 240 pounds. You're probably 210 soaking wet. With that said, don't be afraid to run him either. And I need Jordan Travis to be, I always bring back that Florida game. I know you want to prove you're a passer. I know you want to roll out the pocket. And that's one of your gifts, is that when you roll out the pocket, you're extending plays. You're not so much just tucking and running. But that decision needs to be made quicker in this game. If what you're seeing isn't there, we are better off with you tucking and running for 5, 6 yards instead of even 4 yards. Give me 2nd and 6 instead of a 2nd and 10. On a 2nd down, give me a 3rd and 6 instead of a 3rd and 10. Right? I need Jordan Travis, man, to be that guy. I need Jordan Travis to be that guy. And then that leads me to the running backs. Feed the hot hand. I understand you want to feature Trey Benson. I think that was one of the reasons why Trayshawn Ward left. I think he was probably told, look, going forward, Trey Benson is going to be the featured back. I get it. Look, I don't know if Trey Benson's a feature back. If you have a running back who's averaging 8 yards a carry, there's no excuse for him to only get 5 carries. If you got somebody who's hot, whether that's Rodney, can Keziah Holmes get some? I would love to see Keziah get some carries. I would love to see Keziah Holmes. This isn't a knock on number 9. I would love to see Keziah give Toafili's carries, because you can still use Toafili in so many different ways. You don't have to give Toafili's carries out of the backfield. Toafili's good for a wheel route on every. Once a game, Toafili's good for at least one wheel route out the backfield. They do it every game. And somehow it's usually open. I don't even know how teams and defensive coordinators don't realize that we're going to call that play at least once a game. And it's going to be there. So for me, man, feed the hot hand with the running backs. Work the middle of the field. Work the underneath stuff. Make those safeties come up in the passing game, and then you can hit them over the top. Don't get so enamored with the big play downfield. Every throwing play doesn't have to be you launching the ball down the field on a jump ball. We can work some underneath stuff to get the downfield stuff open. Let's get our slot guys involved. I know my tight ends are going to be involved. I actually think Jaheim Bell's going to – if you make me pick a guy, and we'll do this later on, but Jaheim Bell's kind of my sleeper for this game. I think this will be a game where he might announce himself to the nation. But offensively, man, those are kind of my key points, man. We have all the weapons offensively to get the job done. We have all the weapons. You just got to get it done. You just got to get it done. Grillmaster says, man, they passed to Morlock in Boston College, and he ran too far down the field, and that play got us an offensive pass interference. Dupree says, Rodney Hill, please. Trey Benson is Robin. Rodney Hill's Batman, and Holmes is better than Benson. Corey Hall says, it's kind of hard on that because Hill may not be a every down back because he can't pass pro. I don't know, but if everything he is they run it is a tell. Yeah, I'm not telling you, like, I'm not even saying that Hill needs to take Benson's spot. Like, I'm not going that far. But what I am saying is just feed the hot hand. What's keeping you from having two backs in the backfield? Remember we used to do Wilder and Freeman? I don't know why we don't do more two backs in the back. I kind of know why we don't. That's because we emphasize our tight end so much that you know our tight ends we're usually doing 2 and 3 tight end sets. So that's why we don't have two backs in the backfield. I get that to some degree. But you can mix some stuff up. Again, you got too many weapons. You can mix some stuff up. Belief Beat says Holmes should be a starter. Man, average 9 a carry, forget blocking. But I agree with Corey Hall, man. If you got to be able to pass block, I understand what both guys are saying. Got to be able to pass block to get regular playing time. You definitely have to be able to pass protect. Definitely got to be able to pass protect. Defensively, man, let's go. We just talked about offense. Let's go to defense. This is the funny one because, I don't think Klubnik can beat you. Yet it wouldn't shock me if this Klubnik, I'm gonna make this statement, and y'all know I've come full circle. I've come full circle on this Adam Fuller thing. I hated him at first. Watched the defense steadily improve. And again, I didn't become an Adam Fuller supporter, but I defended him because the numbers got better. The defense played better. If Klubnik comes out looking like the second coming of Trevor Lawrence in this game, then I can no longer defend my defensive coordinator. Yes, this defense has some holes, mainly at secondary. I think there's just a lack of elite talent in our secondary, if I'm being blunt. Again, I think Renardo Green, I think, is a solid college corner. Don't know if he translates to much more than that. I don't like our safeties. I've been very adamant about my safety play. We got some guys like Cypress and AZ, who I think has high potential, but we can say AZ has all the potential he wants. But if he's not starting, y'all, I do want to emphasize this. We can say AZ is X, Y, and Z. If he's not starting, it's probably for a reason. We said the same thing about guys like Demore Tate, and we've done this before. Eventually, AZ's got to put it on tape and let us see it on the field if he's the guy who we think he is. And I hate to bring this up, but there was a conversation, and again, it's social media, it's Twitter, so Twitter is a bunch of BS anyway, and it's not real life. But there was a legit debate this offseason on AZ versus Hunter and who was the better player. You can say what you want about Travis Hunter. He's skinny. When Travis Hunter got on the football field, he put it on tape and he put it to rest. When Travis Hunter got on the football field, there wasn't all of this, we just need to see him fulfill his potential. No. Instant impact. He Shout it off your screen. You saw number, what's his number? Is he number 12? Whatever his damn number is. I think he's number 12. But you saw him. You couldn't deny what he was. AZ can be great. I have no idea. But at some point, he has to scream off my television set, hey, I am that guy. We haven't seen it yet. My secondary man needs a boost in talent, point blank, period. Can't wait till Charles Lester and guys like KJ Bolton get out here. Having Akeem Dent hopefully is a big deal because I don't want to see Kevin Knowles back there. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to see number 3 back there. Say what you want about Akeem Dent, but he's a solid college safety who at least knows where to be and is in position. I like my linebackers. I think the linebackers, a lot of hype is going on this D-line. I would argue my linebackers may have played some of their best football. I think our linebackers have been great. Those main 3, your Lundy, DeLoach, and Bethune, I think have been really good. I really do. And we know what the D-line is capable of. Hopefully our edge guys can cause a little havoc. I saw an interesting stat today that even though our edge guys aren't getting sacks, there apparently hasn't been a defensive end that's caused more pressures than Jarrett Verse. He's not getting the numbers, but he's getting pressures. Now take that for what it's worth. Eventually you want to see him get home, but getting pressure does disrupt the offense, right? I'm pretty sure my interior guys are going to eat. I need to see my guys on the outside eat. I think, again, my linebackers have played well. Adam Fuller, you got to call a game to get it done. Adam Fuller, you have to call a game to get it done. This is why I don't you can blame players. Don't have a problem with blaming players, but the reason why I say I always go to coaching first, because I always go to coaching first and not the players, is because, okay, Adam Fuller, you know what you don't have in the secondary. But your refusal to blitz, your refusal to bring pressure, like I still can't get over that play last week where you had Jarrett Verse in the middle of the field, not even engaged with the offensive lineman. He's spying this quarterback, and he's just doing this number in the middle of the field. That is baffling to me. That is what Jarrett Verse was called to do. And I know he was called to do it because there's no damn way in hell a guy like Jarrett Verse is choosing to not rush the passer. That was what he was instructed to do on that play. Your back end guys cannot cover long. I think we've seen that through 3 games. Maybe I'm tripping. If we're not trying to bring pressure on this Club Nick kid as much as we can, Adam Fuller, you are doing a disservice to your defense. You are doing a disservice to this potentially playoff team. And dare I say, should be relieved of your duties as soon as possible. You have a young quarterback on the opposite side of the field who the numbers say, and the video, the tape shows that when he is under pressure, his efficiency tumbles to the dirt. The numbers actually say Klubnik's a solid quarterback when he has time to throw the ball. Now, most quarterbacks, when they got time to throw, they can throw. A guy like Jordan Travis, the numbers show that when you blitz him, you pay for it. A guy like Klubnik, the numbers show that when you put pressure on him, again, he folds like damn soft laundry. I'm trying to understand. I'm hoping you go into this game with the intention of putting as much pressure on this young quarterback that shows that he gets rattled when the bullet starts flying. That is my hope. That would be the smart play. I'm not telling you to blitz every down. And I understand what the blitz does. It puts your corners on an island. And if the blitz doesn't get home, you could be exposed. But having those same DBs try to cover for 5-6 seconds, it don't matter anyway. It don't matter anyway. So defensively, I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's all about Adam Fuller's game plan. I am very interested to see how he attacks this game because last week we knew they were a one-man offense, and that one man went for 400 plus on us. I didn't understand it watching it, how they converted every 3rd and long. They were able to run the same quarterback draws over and over, and we couldn't adjust. Even in the I didn't understand it. The game plan is going to dictate what we got here. Adam Fuller called a good game plan. We're going to find out. How is that a comparison? Hunter was a number 1 recruit in the country. AZ was a top 10 athlete, but ranked in the hundreds. I'm just telling you what they was debating on social media. The debate was that AZ was more naturally a corner. And so, yeah, it is what it is. Who is Clemson's backup QB? I have no idea. That's a great question. I would love to see him in this game. Probably won't happen. There's no way they should hold Verse back in this game. Ain't no way. Klubnik needs to be on the ground for most of the game. Don't let up. They're not playing right. Take them out. I'd rather lose with competing freshmen than non-competing starters. Kind of similar to what I said last week. I mean, if Knowles is going to play like the way he played, you can't convince me that Hussey's going to be any worse. Hopefully we don't get to that point with Akeem Dent coming back, though. Corey says we don't run enough fire. The stunts, they don't run stunt. That's another thing. Adam Fuller. Is that Fuller? Is that Odell? I don't know. That's got to be Fuller. He's the one in charge of the entire defensive scheme. Can we mix some stuff up on the D-line as well? Can we call some mismatches on the D-line? And he's also talking about the Clemson wide receivers, how they don't really pose that much of a threat. Don't disagree with Corey. Don't disagree. Time for Fable to have his All-American game. He hasn't done much yet this year. I feel like Fable's been on a snap count, guys. He hasn't played. I mean, I think he's played in all 3 games, but it's like he hasn't played a lot of snaps. You feel me? It's like he hasn't played a lot of snaps. He's played a lot of Briggs is getting a lot of snaps. But I would like to see Fable step it up. Knowles will be a transfer candidate next year. I don't like talking about guys necessarily. I like talking about projections after the season of transfer guys, not so much during the season. But, I mean, you can't deny, with Bolden and C.J. Hurd, and I think Ricky Knight, they want him as – like, you've got some guys coming in at safety. The writing could be on the wall. I don't think Clemson has the depth on the D-line like they used to because they don't play a lot. That might be the case. Can our O-line wear them down? That's a great question. I want to see Dabo's face like Kelly's during the LSU game, just deer caught in headlights. Beautiful. That would be a beautiful thing. No, not tonight. No, sir. I don't usually drink on the weekdays. Come Friday, though. I got you. Antoine says they've been saving Fabo for this game. Score predictions, man. I think I've covered this game fairly thorough, at least on my expectations of what Florida State needs to do, the perception and reality of what this game potentially means for Mike Norvell, and just, why this game's a big deal. My score predictions for this game are this game's tough for me because I think this game is a war. I think this game is a close game to the end. I don't expect Clemson to go down lightly. I would love for us to come out and have another LSU showing in this game. That would speak a lot to me. That would speak a lot to the mentality of this team, for better or worse. If you were able to do to Clemson what you did to LSU, and remember, at the end of LSU, you flat out punked them. You were punking LSU. It would show me that you get up for the big games and you don't take the smaller games seriously. Now, that's a formula that can always come back to bite you. But that's what it would show me. I don't put a lot as much as I hated last week's game. I told you how embarrassed I was in that win. I don't take that game more than just what it was, that game. Georgia's a back-to-back natty, national champion. That Mizzou game last year, that thing was down to the wire. And that Mizzou team finished with a losing record. But they played Georgia about as tough as you can. I saw it on social media today, so I'll steal this point. But it was a great point. 2018 Clemson. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's national championship winning Clemson. I think Syracuse almost beat them. Took them to the wire and almost beat them. I said it. Those games happen, and it happens to the best. It happens to the best. Those games happen. So I take that game just for what it was, that game, and we move on to Clemson. But my expectations for this one is, depending on how we come out of this, or depending how we play this game, I was originally talking about just what it would say as the identity of this team is maybe they get up for the big ones and don't take the small ones that serious, which could be a recipe for disaster, but whatever. But my expectation is I try to have a score prediction. And I'm trying to think of it, and it's really tough for me because, again, I think this is going to be a war. Raymond says stop Shipley and you stop a big part of their offense. I agree with that. Marco says, I want you to beat Clemson because I'm tired of living rent-free in your head. They don't live rent-free in my head, sir. Absolutely do not. What's up, Terrell? I'm leaning towards a score. Something to the tune of 38 to 34 or something like that. I think Clemson's in it to the end. I think Florida State to get about 35 to 38. I'm going to go 38 34. I'm going to go 38 to 34. I think Florida State 38 to 34. I'm picking us to win this game, but 38 to 30 to 34. I don't think you just wash Clemson, and I'm not sure a double-digit win is going to – I don't think they're going to hit double digits. I see a 45 to 21. Shout out to Pretty No Girl, but that's LSU performance. I don't get me wrong. We do that. You might want to tune into that instant reaction because, boy, that's going to be a fun one. We do 45 to 21, but I'm on the record, guys. I just want us to win the damn game. I don't care if it's 27-17. I ain't mad at that score. Just win the damn game. Win the damn game. I see a 35-21, 35-24, 31-21. 35-24, 38-21. So most people have FSU scoring in that 35-plus range. I I want to say Clemson should struggle to score on us. Shipley has a habit of playing his best games against us, and we got a habit of, again, Klubnik probably going to look like Trevor Lawrence in this game. And then I'll be talking a lot about Adam Fuller after the game, I promise you, if that's the case. If Klubnik, freaking Thomas Castellanos, whatever his name was, looked like Michael Vick last week against us, I don't put nothing past this defense. You wouldn't shock me if Klubnik came out there and threw for 300 and 3 touchdowns. Wouldn't shock me at all. Corey don't think Clemson can score 34 points. I'm telling you right now, against this defense, like I said, that BC quarterback looked like Michael Vick last week. But I got a 35-23, a 42-20. That would be another big-time score. That would be a statement. Those 40-20 scores would be a statement, would be some statement games. Anthony says, we put 28 on them last year. We should be able to get more. We should be. No, we should be. If FSU's win, are we in the ACC title game? I think if FSU wins, I don't want to say punch your ticket, but you're in the driver's seat. And at this point of the season, it's too early to make absolutes, right? At this point in the season, it's too early to say you will be X, Y, and Z. But you can put yourself in the driver's seat. And if you go up 2-0 in the conference with already a win against Clemson, yeah, I think you're in the driver's seat. What's up, Insane Mob? Do we see black or gray hoodie? I don't know. Let's see black. Give me all black Mike from LSU. Give me that one. Though I do understand gray hoodie Mike did his thing last year, so. Hill deserves more touches. 35-24. I'm not mad at that score prediction either. Yeah, man, a lot of things. Like, I don't think Clemson matches up fairly well with any of our receivers. I don't know if their backers, they might be good at run, stuff in the run fits, but I don't know. Can those backers cover? I'm not so sure about that. Can you get Jaheim Bell in some favorable matchup? Offensively, man, we should be able to score. The question is going to be, can we stop them from, again, can we not have two weekends in a row where guys are playing out of their minds? Can we make Klubnik look like the Klubnik we've seen the first 3 weeks of the season? 31-14 is actually a very impressive. That would be an impressive victory if you could win 31-14. They should feel confident. Florida State gave them every reason last week to feel confident. Feelings don't win football games. But they should definitely feel confident. If I was a Clemson fan, I'd feel confident too. I definitely think we'll come out higher energy. I definitely believe that, So there's a lot of things that we can look at last week and not expect it this week. I think the mark of a team is, can you play every game like it's your championship? Last week I said was a learning experience. Well, we're gonna find out what you learned, because this is, to me, look, no disrespect to Miami. Actually, all disrespect to Miami. They can kick rocks. No disrespect to Florida. Actually, all disrespect to Florida. They can drown in the swamp. But Clemson's the best team, I believe, left on your schedule. I believe that. Definitely the most talented team left on your schedule. Definitely. From top to bottom. Maybe not the best team. You still have Duke and some. But look, man, Clemson, maybe they're not the final exam, but they're damn sure midterms. Because the final exam is going to be easy, in my opinion, if you can come out here and ace this midterm. And I know we're only a quarter of a way through the season, but ain't nothing in the middle of the schedule I'm worried about. No disrespect to Duke, but to hell with Duke. Again, it's Duke, man. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Duke. Granted, again, the way that quarterback looked last week, Riley Leonard might run for 100 on us. But we should be able to beat everything in the middle of our schedule and at the back end of our schedule. I think Clemson's the biggest test left on this schedule, if I'm being honest with you. That's just how I view it. Trey Benson reported the live. What live? The guys running the Clemson podcast is nervous. Tevin says, free Rodney. Like you said, all take what the defense gives you. Stop pressing. Keep the chains moving. Clemson will have some key players out this week, I heard. I haven't heard any key players out for them. And unless it's Will Shipley and Tyler Davis on defense or something, don't sleep on Cuse. Yeah, I'm sleeping on Cuse. I'm taking a big-ass nap on Syracuse. Taking a big-ass nap. Clemson by 10. Cool. Jay says, who do you think we beat by more, Clemson or Miami? Great question. I mean, until Miami actually plays a competent football team, I can't give them too much credit, if I'm just being honest with you. Let's hope they show up against Temple. And I agree wholeheartedly with this one. Beat Clemson, and there's no one left on the schedule that beats us. I don't disagree. Hard for me to disagree with that. You beat Clemson, and there's no one left on the schedule that beats us. I don't see it. And that's with all due disrespect to all of those teams I mentioned previously. And Tim the Fool, man, said we fumbled Coach Prime. All I know is Florida State is ranked number 4 in the country. I don't know how we fumbled Coach Prime. Tim the Fool, man. Good job, Tim. We won't beat Temple up by 2 with 18 penalties. I know, because you'll lose to them like you lost to Middle Tennessee State. And they won't need 18 penalties to beat y'all. Don't do that to yourself. You've already proven you can lose to Middle Tennessee State. We're good over here. BC's not a competent team. Okay, Kane fans have shown up at the end of the stream. I'll entertain them for a little bit because it's funny. BC's not a competent team, but LSU isn't either, I guess. LSU doesn't matter. Killsboro Kane. Tim the Fool, man, says he wants Lil Wayne performing before games. Cool. Good. I guess North Alabama is going to pull a JSU. Somebody make it make sense. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. Somebody make it make sense. The trolls are getting worse and worse. They're not even good anymore. POLK, it's Cole Turner. Who the hell is Cole Turner? Am I supposed to know who Cole Turner is? With all due respect to Cole Turner, I don't know who that is. Am I supposed to? Keep that same energy when BCQB run all over the Canes. Pretty No Girl says 45-3. Ooh, don't remind them of that. Don't remind them of that. Come on, man. You need new material. You got to get better material. We are literally, what are we, 2 years past this? You got to get better material. There's some good games this weekend, Raymond. You got Oregon and Colorado, Notre Dame, Ohio State, the UCLA. You got a bunch of ranked games. Matter of fact, I'm actually very excited for this weekend. Let's run down the games real quick. I'm not gonna predict games. I just want to run down the slate because man, you're gonna be able to sit on your couch this weekend, and if you don't want to move, you're not gonna need to move because there is just a slate of games this weekend, man. I'm trying to find a list of all the games. There we go. There's a slate of games. I mean, heck, you got Rutgers and Michigan. Both of them are 3-0. Rutgers already has one Big Ten win. Obviously, Florida State, Clemson. Got Oklahoma and Cincinnati. I actually think that's a solid game. Colorado, Oregon. UCLA and Utah. Ole Miss and Alabama. That's 15-13. UCLA, Utah. That's 22-11. I would say Miami and Temple, but Miami's probably going to lose that game. Arkansas, LSU. That's an interesting game to watch. Oregon State, Washington State. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Iowa, Penn State, 24-7. USC versus Arizona State. That's Kenny Dillingham. Man, you got a great slate of games this weekend, y'all. Great slate of games. Yeah, man, I said 38-34 Florida State. Irv. Carlton Banks, my man. Ole Miss beats Bama. Wouldn't shock me. Ain't that wild? You know what's wild, Corey? Florida State in 2013, we're at the pinnacle of college football. We fell all the way to the dumps, and we got ranked top 5, number 4. We went all the way up to number 3. We died, we went up, died, came back up before Miami ever came back to begin with. Ain't that crazy? Absolutely insane. But yes, this weekend's a good weekend though, man. If you're just a college football fan, you can, like I said, Killsborough Kane said, you can sit on that couch all day, grab you your adult beverage of choice, yeah, you can not move off the couch. But that's all I got tonight, y'all. Hit that like button on the way out if you did not hit it on the way in. Share the videos as we continue to grow this 863 Seminole TV, this 863 tribe, as I like to call it. That's the best way you can support the channel, man. Share the videos and hit the like button. And also, if you want to, you can become a member of the tribe. It costs about as much as some loose change in your pocket. Like literally, if you go look, I don't even know my own tiers, but it's like $1.99, $2.99, $3.99. Super cheap. half of y'all blow more money on McDonald's. You probably shouldn't eat that much McDonald's no more, and you could just be giving that to me. And help support the channel if you want to. If not, that's cool too. I don't even care about that. But please hit the like button and subscribe and share the video. Those are the free ways and really the most important ways to support the channel. Again, 38-34, that is my prediction for Florida State Clemson. I do plan on, I'll probably get back live on here tomorrow night. I think that's the plan, if I can pull it off. So the show you were supposed to get last night, you got tonight, and then I'll give you what you were supposed to get tonight, tomorrow on Friday, and then Saturday y'all already know what to do. You got the halftime reaction, you got the instant game reaction. As always, guys, it is your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. We are out here. Go Noles. Clemson, the clock's ticking. It's time to take back what's ours. Have a good rest of your night.